Good evening, this is Handlog Steve coming to you on the 9th of May. And the yellow vest protesters in Paris invade a hospital. Oh my God! It can't be true, can it? And that is the topic of the conversation this evening. And a warm welcome back to all of you who are returning to my channel, and a warm welcome also to any new visitors, and I sure hope you enjoyed the conversation. I think it's a very important conversation in the world in which we live today, because many of the decisions made now are going to have effects far, far, far into the future. And I think it's incumbent that we all pay attention to what's going on at the present time. Now, this is a story out of Paris, and there were a group of protesters who apparently charged a hospital and tried to open a door and intimidated nurses and so on and so forth. And the press put this out and just absolutely ran with it. The Interior Minister Christophe Castaner said that this was absolutely deplorable, and is being interviewed saying that this is just an absolutely incredibly horrifically violent act perpetrated by the yellow vests on a hospital and injured and sick and people and nurses and so on and so forth. And of course it was an absolute outrage, as you can imagine. Now, of course, as per usual, somebody was there with a camera. Wouldn't you just know it? I don't know whether it's a nurse or a worker, but you can see, and I'm going to play the whole clip. I'm just going to keep this really short, because this is absolutely incredible when you see what really happened, okay, and the way the story was spun. And I think it's absolutely unconscionable that the government should lie about this kind of thing to try and malign. And of course you will see by the people involved that they are not dangerous at all. They're in fact terrified. And again, you will see in the video that the police come roaring down the street, there's tear gas being thrown, and that is what they're running from. This was not an attack at all. They were trying to save themselves from the brutality of the police, and this has been well noted. This is not me just saying something. This has been documented over and over again, that the police in France have used excessive force against regular, ordinary people exercising their democratic right to protest. Okay, so let's go take a quick look at this clip, and then I'll come back and do an extremely quick wrap-up. Okay, here we go. French minister backtracks on claim hospital attacked during May Day protest. France's Interior Minister is backing off allegations that anti-government protesters carried out an attack on a hospital during a chaotic May Day protest that saw marchers scale a fence and enter the hospital grounds. Under pressure over the disputed events, Christophe Castaner acknowledged that I shouldn't have used the term in describing what happened Wednesday at the university hospital, but he insisted the intrusion was violent and it remains under investigation. Authorities detained and later released 32 people in connection with the incident. The director of the Paris public hospital system has said dozens of people scaled the fence and tried to storm an emergency exit in a post-surgery ward. Activists with the Yellow Vest movement and others have suggested march participants were trying to escape police tear gas. Top officials at the Paris hospital, where Diana, Princess of Wales, died in 1997 after a car crash, initially said protesters had broken into the hospital grounds, then tried to enter an intensive care unit. But mobile phone footage circulating on Facebook, apparently shot at the scene by one of the nurses on duty, appeared to give credence to the idea that they were merely fleeing a police crackdown. This is from RT. French minister slammed for twisting truth after fake claim of hospital attack by yellow vests. And there he is, Interior Minister Christophe Castaner and yellow vest protesters. Okay, so here is the video. This is obviously someone standing on the balcony watching the events on the street. There you go. And there you see the police chasing the protesters. And as you can see, this is not an attack. You know, these are just people trying to get away from this onslaught of the police, and they were trying to do a pincer movement. You'll see in a minute. You watch what's coming up. These motorcycle police come roaring down the road, and you saw the protesters ran from the other direction. Here they go, and look, see? They would have caught these protesters in a pincer movement, and look at them. I mean, this is unbelievable, and it's just so fortunate that somebody had the phone camera running and caught all of this. And you see, none of them resist. They're not resisting. They didn't try to break in. They've got their backs to the window. So how can you possibly twist this into a story? Look, hands up. They've even got the door open. There you go, resisting arrest, right? Resisting arrest. So you can see with your own eyes exactly what happened. And thank goodness. Thank goodness. And there we go, there's the riot police. Are they going to pincer themselves? Now you see all those people in all those apartments and all of those nurses, they all saw what happened, and they all read what the newspaper said that the government said. And you can see how this is just undermining the government and why the populist movement is gaining strength. Okay, so I'm just going to flip it back to the beginning here and see where the crowd comes from on the right hand side. You watch. See, there they come. That's the police chasing them down the street. And as we saw, the police came from the other direction with the motorcycles, and there's your pincer movement right there. So I hope you were as stunned as I was when I saw that clip. And of course, as far as Christophe Castaner is concerned, you know, one of the little things that I do, and I mentioned before about put the shoe on the other foot. The other little thing that I do is I try and think of these people in terms of, well, would I have this person as a friend? Would I hire this person as a contractor? Would I buy a car from this person? Would I trust this person to teach my children? And if I would not, then why are we voting this person in to govern us? And this is one of the problems today. I don't think we're recognizing the kind of people that we have governing us. And so that's what I do. That's why I bring it right down to earth, and I ask these very basic questions about whether I would transact, whether I would deal, whether I'd feel comfortable dealing with these people. And if I wouldn't, why on earth would I be electing them to run my country? Because, you know, when they go on a TV, when they do their speeches and presentations, it's all big smiles and, oh yes, everything's wonderful and it's going to be rosy and don't you worry, everything is fine and we won't hurt you at all. And next thing you know, the tarnish has come back, the gloss has worn off, and here we are just basically getting abused once again by the government, and the government not fulfilling even the most basic of tasks. I mean, I don't know about you, it seems to me everything I read about in the paper today is another major government screw-up. Like, what is that? Anyway, so I guess the big takeaway from this that I would like to share with you is, please do not trust what you're being told about the Yellow Vest protests. These are regular folk like you and I. Yes, there's some bad actors. Yes, and of course in the article it says there are some masked people. And we all know that we have seen these agent provocateurs that are possibly employed by the government one way or another to make things look bad. But those people on that balcony, those are the Yellow Vest protesters. These are just ordinary people who've been backed into a corner. And that is, of course, an interesting piece of imagery, of those people on the balconies. That's exactly what's happening to them in real life. Anyway, please, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment and subscribe below. And in the meantime, this is Hound Dog Steve signing off and wishing you a very pleasant evening. And we will talk very, very shortly. Okay, see you now. Bye.